Welcome to tonight's episode of Beyond Focus TV. I'm Lydia Patel, and as always, I have a very special guest for you, Cheryl Todmann, executive producer and founder of Stars of New York. She'll be with us for the next 30 minutes, so stay with us. You're watching Beyond Focus TV. Beyond Focus TV allows you to discuss contemporary topics affecting the Caribbean people on both a national and local level. The show features informed guests who offer insight, debate, and evaluate various issues. Beyond Focus TV builds on the station's mission to provide useful information to the Caribbean people in New York and abroad. Beyond Focus TV, where our viewing audience can get educated, informed, and empowered. Welcome back. You're watching Beyond Focus TV. I'm Lydia Patel. And like I said, I have a very special guest for you, Cheryl Todmann. Welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Well, it's great to have you. Stars of New York, a multifaceted woman doing a lot of great things here in the city. So we're going to do a deep dive, but before we do all that, I just kind of like to unpack everything with, who is Cheryl Todmann?
Cheryl Todmann. I'm a very dimensional woman, and I'm also a big kid. I grew up in Harlem, but I've lived in Brooklyn for 25 years, so I consider Brooklyn home. And I love communications and marketing. I work at a local community college as the head of communications and marketing. And I also love people. So through the dance event that I do annually, it's just really an opportunity for me to engage with people in just a different way.
Absolutely. So we're going to get into that because Stars of New York is basically Brooklyn. So dance competition reminds me of that Dancing with the Stars, yes. You know, which is a huge show. And that was my first thing when I saw it. I was like, we have our own local version of this. So talk about the competition for those at home who may not even be aware of it. Let's do a deep dive into that. What is Stars of New York?
So it's the Stars of New York dance. And the Stars of New York dance is very similar to Dancing with the Stars. It's a dance competition for local leaders and actually some national leaders that gives them a chance to raise dance scholarship funds for youth. And I've learned, I started dancing as an adult, and I started winning awards at work. I've gained confidence and self-esteem, and something in my spirit was like, if it could do that for me, it could surely do that for children. And so just something in me just said, you know, you should get community leaders to dance. I was not a professional dancer. I started dancing at St. Paul Community Baptist Church, part of the dance ministry, and I just fell in love with it. And there were a number of professional dancers that attended that church, and I connected with a number of them, and, you know, I told them my idea, and they were like, let's do it. So I was able to reach out to a few leaders that I had worked with professionally, and Letitia James was the first one I approached, and she thought I was crazy, and she was like, but I'll do it, you know, and a number of other leaders just followed along as I secured one. They were intrigued, yes. And the dance companies wanted really opportunities to increase their visibility. Dancers and dance companies are not always seen as entrepreneurs and business leaders, but that's exactly what they are and who they are. And I wanted to do something for what they had given me through dance. The confidence and self-esteem, the creative juices kept flowing, and, you know, I was doing really well at my regular day job. I wanted to give back to them in a unique way, and I really I'm grateful for the idea to do it. The idea came even before I saw Dancing with the Stars, but once I saw it after,
it was like bingo. I
was like, that's what I'm supposed to do. And I didn't have any event experience. I didn't have any production experience. I didn't have barely any dance experience. But sometimes when you're called to do something, your calling will chase you down and show you how to get it done. And that's exactly what happened. Just used my resources and talked to a lot of people and made some mistakes. But after now going into our 11th year, it's an amazing event that I couldn't even live without.
And I've personally attended it, so I know exactly how phenomenal it is. Now, you said something really interesting. You said you didn't start dancing until you were adult.
Yes.
So that's interesting because there's a lot of people in your shoes.
Totally. Yeah.
So walk us through that.
Okay. So growing up in Harlem, my mom was the Diana Ross songstress. You know, she would dance around the house with Diana Ross. My dad was the Tito Puente, Celia Cruz And we would dance in the house. My must-see TV was Soul Train, Solid Gold, and Dance Fever. But what I saw on those shows didn't equate to what my cousin was doing in ballet class. They looked like two totally different things. So I never asked to take dance classes because I liked what I saw on TV, but not what she, I didn't equate what she was doing with what dancers do. And it wasn't until, there were some seeds that were planted. I took a hip hop class when I was 14 at Syracuse. I went to Syracuse University. It was a talent show. And there was a woman, or she was actually another student, but she did praise dance. And I can visually see her now. It just, something stood out about that, that was very unique. Fast forward, I, graduated, was still living in Harlem, and then moved to Brooklyn when I was about 25. And I was hanging out with some friends. They were like, let's go to church. I was still commuting to church in Harlem. We went to St. Paul Community Baptist Church. We opened the sanctuary doors. There was a sea of women in white dancing, and I had never seen that. And I had a flashback to the student at the talent show.
Right.
And I was like, OMG, that's what I want to do. And so that's really where it started. I socially dance. I love to dance. I'm a mover. But the minute I was asked to do like specific things and learn steps, I sort of tightened up and got a little shy. But once I realized that I had a natural gift, then it was just like full steam ahead, and you couldn't stop me. I was in every church production, everything that I could possibly get into. And I wasn't the typical, dancer. Like, I had memory issues. I couldn't always remember the sequence. I can execute.
The order of the steps.
Yes, I can execute, but it would take me longer to get it. And it still does, but, it doesn't matter what my process is. The choreographers, they just saw my heart, and they saw that I could get it, even if it took me longer. And that was it. Like, they told me, whatever your process is, that's your process, but you're always welcome. And so I was blessed to be around people who just said, go for it. They never talked about my age. They invited me into classes with the 5-year-olds. I once took a ballet class with 5-year-olds just because I wanted to learn, I took classes with professional company. I had a chance through Jamel Gaines of Creative Outlet Dance Theater Brooklyn, who's my mentor as far as with dance. He danced with a lot of, commercial artists, celebrities, and I had a chance to dance with George Faison of The Wiz. He pushed me into that rehearsal, and I did not belong. There were ailey dancers in there. There were other professional dancers in there, and George allowed me to stay in. Once he realized I never danced before, he was like, all right, you can try it. And he actually forced me to do the production that he finally, mounted. And he was like, newbie, you did pretty good.
How was that experience for you?
Terrifying. I blacked out, but I did the choreography. So during the piece, I had no idea, I knew I was dancing. It was just, I blacked out in my own way. And I was like, okay, hopefully I did everything right. There's a level of fear, of excitement, of just pure energy. And so that's what happens with me. And my spirit just takes over. So I might black out, but my spirit takes over. George walked up to me and he said, you did really great. And I was like, thank God.
Well, let's leave it right there. Hold that thought. We'll take a quick break. We'll be right back. You're watching Beyond Focus TV. Stay with us. Welcome back. You're watching Beyond Focus TV. I'm Lydia Patel. So tell us a little bit about, Stars of New York, dance, 10 years, going into the 11th year. And this year's going to be a little bit different.
Yes.
So you've had 10 in-person productions.
Yes.
How has the first year differed from the 10th year, looking back at it?
Very dramatically different. The first year was so sweet because, it was the first year, and there was just a lot of excitement and nervousness in the air from all of the participants. But the first year, we had 2 special guest dancers, which was then public advocate Bill de Blasio and his wife Charlene McCrae and Reverend Al Sharpton. They were our special guest dancers. We didn't have a necessarily an honoree back then. And then we had 5 contestants. Letitia James was one, Colvin Granum, Kim Hampton from the WNBA, and 2 other leaders. And so it was a very tight program. We didn't have all of the other performances that we do for the other productions. So that one was our first. It was amazing. What I loved about that one is the winner, Colvin Granum of Bedford Stuyvesant Restoration Corporation. We did the tech rehearsal the same night. And so in his tech rehearsal, usually you'll go full out so that you are prepared to dance fully when you present. Correct. He did not. So all of his tricks we didn't see, all the other contestants didn't see until his performance. And he aced it, like all the flips, all the lifts. It was amazing. The 10th year was just as sweet in a different way because it was all of the winners of the past 9 years coming back. Mm-hmm. And so, people who hadn't danced in 6, 7, 8 years were coming back, and they were in rehearsal. And it was just, for me, it was a moment of reckoning that this is a tradition because, these are leaders who are very busy, who, spend their days making life better for us in our communities and in our country. And for them they get as much benefit from dancing as the kids that we serve do. They love it. They are always asking, well, who's next on the roster, even if they're not involved. They're engaged. They're constantly, in communication about what's happening. And for that 10th year, just seeing them come back with a vengeance, mm-hmm. the energy of competing, healthy competition. It just speaks a lot to their connection to the event, and they own it. It's part of their life, and it's part of what they advocate for. And I'm so grateful. It's amazing.
Well, I want to talk about the selection process of how you come about finding those who participate and compete.
So it's very varied. I love to find very connected people to their communities, and also very visible leaders. That helps, of course, with those people who have sort of a built-in audience. But sometimes it's people will come directly to us and say, I'd love to participate. I saw the Attorney General when she was public advocate dance. I want to do that. Or sometimes I might seek someone else who I know has a love for children, has a love for dance. Sheena Wright from United Way of New York City, the president, there was a connection. Her predecessor had participated as a judge. And then once I learned that she was in the position, there was a relationship that we developed, and then she ended up dancing, and she was phenomenal. So it varies as far as who, but I'm always on the lookout. I'm always, watching, whether it's the news or just as I'm meeting different people. One of my favorite groups, I think, though, to ask are pastors,
really?
Preachers, because I'll give you a quick story. My pastor, where I would learn to dance at St. Paul Community Baptist Church, the senior pastor previously was Reverend Dr. Johnny Ray Youngblood, and he shared that he wanted dance in his church because when he was growing up, it wasn't allowed. It was sinful. And so he said, when I have my own church, my own space, I'm going to let productions happen. I'm going to let people dance. So I'm one of those beneficiaries of coming into a church. I didn't come there to dance. I came for church. But I found this new love, and I was like, oh, my God, I can do this and enjoy, go to church. And so so to be able to provide that to me and all the members, when I asked him, he was like, I don't know. I'm not sure if I'm going to dance. But I love it. And so we had a number of pastors participate, but we honored him our 3rd year. And I knew that I could only sneak to get him to dance. And I guess I'm giving away one of our tried and true secrets. But we put on his favorite song, The Electric Slide, and then we surprised him with another song that he had no idea. And that's sort of what we do for our honorees.
Okay.
We don't give them a heads up that they're dancing, but these leaders are so nimble and they're so smart. They are leaders on and off the dance floor, so a simple dance is never anything too hard for them. But it's just amazing to see that someone who didn't know they were dancing and who does not dance to do such a great job the night of in front of 350 people.
Of course. So tell us a little bit about the competition itself. You know, I've seen the outfits, the rehearsals.
Yes.
There's a lot that goes into this.
A lot.
Kind of share that with us.
So, thank God we have a phenomenal costume designer, Hopi Lynn Burrows. But basically, I go by my spirit. I go by my feeling. I will have a community leader. I'll get the community leaders first. I'll secure them. And then I'll think about the dance companies that I've partnered with. I'll find new ones around the city, not just in Brooklyn. And then I just go by how I feel these two people will match. And I can say 90% of the time it's been a perfect match. You know, they finish the rehearsal process and they're like, you partnered me with the perfect person. But once they're partnered, it's really the creativity and the decision making of the two of them. They talk about their favorite songs. The dance artist talks about the dance styles that they are most familiar with, and their company, performs. They develop a performance style. We'll do modern or jazz or African or salsa, and that is the difference. I say that the Stars of New York Dance brings is because we highlight dance styles that you may not see on Dancing with the Stars or any other place. We show the culture of dance from around the world.
Yes.
And so it's really, yes, the dance couples, they come up with their themes. Some people have had live marching bands in their competitions, dancing trees, have been mermaids. You name it, we've done it. And that's what I love. It's their creativity. And it's not always just the dancer. The community leader comes with ideas, with costume changes, and it really allows these leaders a creative outlet, the same creative outlet we give to the kids that get the scholarship awards. Adults need creative outlets too. They need, especially these leaders, it's a lot of pressure leading communities, and we provide a creative outlet, a way to stay in shape, something fun, a way to collaborate in an innovative way. And what comes from that? Masterpieces. It's just some of the ideas have just been so exceptional, and
I love it.
Yeah.
Well, hold that thought. We'll be right back. You're watching Beyond Focus TV. Stay with us. Welcome back. You're watching Beyond Focus TV. So Cheryl, for people at home who are watching and might be excited about this, they're looking what's happening for 2020. Well, why don't you tell us what's happening for this year's edition?
Yes, well, so it is a pandemic, but that doesn't stop us from celebrating. And so what we decided to do this year, traditionally we have an honoree, but this year we thought this would be a great year to honor the artists. So there have been artists that have been pillars of performances that we've presented over the past 10 years. And especially during COVID, so many artists were out of work and not being able to do their craft, do their passion. And so my spirit was saying, you need to honor them. So there are 3 artists that we are honoring. Jennifer Fallu, she is a writer, and she performs spoken word at every event to our honoree. She is exquisite spoken word artist. Jamel Gaines is a choreographer extraordinaire and my mentor and dance teacher. And Dr. Melissa Vaughn is also a choreographer. And they've been part of the event since the inception. And so I couldn't think of any others to honor for their excellence of curating dance and arts culture and creating an outlet for our children to really grow and be creative. And so we're honoring them. We have a number of special guests from Congressman Hakeem Jeffries, who we honored last year. Mm-hmm. He was so in love with the event and how it all came to be that he's joining us again this year. And so we have opportunities to celebrate our artists with a number of special guests. Mm-hmm. We are going to do our first award that's a Best Viral Dance Video, Being Home. I've seen
that's
a lot of yes, I've seen a lot of viral videos on TikTok, and we just thought it would be a great way to just recognize people who are just dancers and just creating culture, creating art. You know, I specialize, I guess, in the non-dancer, getting them to dance. And so we just want to continue, like, everyone can be a dancer. And then we'll surprise 5 young people with dance scholarships, thanks to our sponsor, AARP, as well as Charles H. Rebson Foundation. And, it'll be live with our host, Errol Lewis of New York One. Mm-hmm. And we're just really excited. There's nothing that can stop art from happening. And so we're going to keep it going.
We are going to keep it going. How do people get in contact with you if they want to watch, make a donation? Yes. How do they do that?
Well, I'm excited that we are live streaming off of our website. So it's starsnydance.org. So you can visit that website, and you can also make a donation there as well. And we're live streaming right off of our homepage. So on Monday, we usually have our events on Fridays, but on Monday, November 30th at 7 p.m., we'll be live, and you can see all that we do. We'll be highlighting.
And I'm sure the playback will be available.
Absolutely.
All that good stuff. So if for whatever reason you can't catch it, the playback will be available. In terms of social media, why don't you share your social media handles so people can check out the page?
Absolutely. We're on Facebook and on Instagram at Stars of NY Dance.
Stars of NY Dance.
Yes.
That's great. You know, you have to pivot and just move with what 2020 has given us.
Yes.
Had 2020 turned out to be different, what would have been this year's theme?
Had 2020 been, I don't want to give it away because we're going to do it for 20.
Still doing it. Okay.
21. But yes, we would always be a live event. But what I do appreciate about the pandemic and what it created, we had to think creatively and differently. And so a virtual event now will always be a part of our menu of opportunities to create art.
Absolutely. You know, and having this as it's your brainchild, it's your baby. You have so much really dedication into this. How do you feel that 11 years later now, this is still going strong? It's evolved into something great. Yeah. You have some great people and a team. When you step back and kind of remove yourself from that and just look at it, how does that all make you feel?
I know that it's always bigger than me. So no one person by themselves can do something that's so monumental. You always need a team. And that's something that I always challenge myself with, because I am someone that, can just like take something on and work. But I love people, and so I have to engage with others. But to look back and see this, if there were no community leaders to honor, if there were no community leaders dancing, if there were no dance companies, if there were no children to give scholarships, I would just be in a studio by myself. And so it really just speaks to community. We really never do anything by ourselves. We are always in community, and to look back after 11 years and see all the people that have come through the doors and that are still supporting, it's bigger than any one person.
So thinking back when you first had this idea, and you started telling people, look, I want to do this dance competition, and you're laughing now because you're like, they were like,
I didn't
crazy.
even believe it. Like, it was more of a spiritual, thing where I felt Spirit of God told me to do this. This was like my calling. And it didn't make any sense. I'm not the dancer. I don't do events. I don't have production experience. I don't know these leaders. I knew some of them from work. I worked at a nonprofit. I did worked with some of the elected officials. But that production events, that was not my thing. Mm-hmm. But I just love to dance. And sometimes I think people who are, you just have to be open, because
Yeah.
sometimes that's just an opportunity for you to grow and to be challenged. And it's you're the one. You may not fit the bill, but sometimes you're the one.
And you said it earlier in the interview, like, if it's your calling, it's good to, like, God is going to make a way. And I've seen that a lot of times. Sometimes I'm like, I don't understand why we're
Right.
doing this. I'm not understanding the process.
Right.
But we
Right.
still see, look how
Right.
phenomenal this is.
I think that's the one thing I would always want to leave with someone, is that, regardless of what you can't do, and there's plenty of people who knew what I was doing, and like, why, probably not in any negative way, but probably, why is she doing this? Like, she doesn't know this or that, and sometimes you are just the one that's chosen to do something, and it will enlighten and inspire someone else who's not the one to do the impossible. I think Eric Adams said it best when he was saying, I'm possible. Like, he flipped, it impossible
To
to
I'm.
I'm possible. And that has stuck with me. And he was one of our honorees. But that has stuck with me forever. So,
Well, Cheryl, thank you so much. It's been amazing, and we'll have you back in 2021. I want to hear what's
Absolutely.
happening and definitely get some updates. As always, if you have any questions or comments, you can send us an email at info@beyondfocusmedia.com. I'm your host, Lydia Patel. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll be back again next week. Same time, same place. You're watching Beyond Focus TV. Stay with us.
Beyond Focus TV show wants and needs your feedback. Did we blunder? Please let us know so we can improve. Was the show helpful to you? Drop us a note so we can share the success with our staff members. Is there something you think we could do better? We welcome new ideas and new approaches to old ideas. Do you have a great suggestion? Let us know and we'll work on it. If you would like to share your comments anonymously, please send us an email at info@beyondfocusmedia.com. If you want to get in touch with the executive producer directly, send him an email at gene@beyondfocusmedia.com. We really look forward to hearing from you.